So on today's video, I am going to be jumping into the top 10 Middle Eastern fragrances, or 10 Middle Eastern fragrances for life. If I could only have 10 Middle Eastern fragrances, what would I keep? That's what we're going to be jumping into today. If this is your first time stopping by this channel or seeing one of my videos, my name is Darren. I go by the Bowtie Fragrance Guy. I cover fashion and fragrance on this channel, primarily fragrance. So if you're into that kind of content, subscribe to the channel and make sure you enable notifications by hitting that little bell icon. That way, anytime I upload new content on YouTube, you'll get notified. Now, when I think about Middle Eastern fragrances, I think they've gained so much popularity because, generally speaking, when you compare them to the average typical designer or niche brand fragrance, you're going to get them for a better price. You're going to get them at a great value, okay? Most of the time, you're going to find these fragrances for under that $60 price point, which of course for most people that are looking to collect fragrances, that's a really good value. I mean, they for the most part perform pretty well, and also the craze here over the last couple of years is that they've found a way to clone more popular, more expensive fragrances. So obviously a lot of people look at it from that standpoint as well and say, hey, you know, why not get a similar fragrance that smells almost like the original and save money? So I totally get it. So because these fragrances that fall under the Middle Eastern brand name are so popular, I thought it would be fun to look at my collection and say, hey, if I could only have 10 of these fragrances, what 10 would I keep and get rid of the rest? Always fun to do this kind of stuff. So if you want to see what I chose to keep, you know the routine. Keep it locked right here. Let's get it. Let's drink coffee.
The Bowtie Fragrance Guy.
All right, guys, we're back. Thank you so much for keeping it locked in. Let's go ahead and jump into the video. I do have one quick honorable mention that I want to talk about today, and it's from the House of Nusuk. Now, to me, honestly, of all the fragrances on this list, this is the most representative of what I think about when I think of a Middle Eastern branded fragrance. And again, it's from the House of Nusuk. This is called Oud Khas. Oud Khas. Now, basically what you're going to get with this fragrance right here, you get this very unique blending of florals and spices in the opening of the fragrance, okay? You're going to pick up some lily, get a little bit of amber in this as well. And like I said, it's very, very spicy, some very exotic spices, which of course, Middle Eastern fragrances are known for the spices and the oud primarily. And of course you get oud in here. Now what this really smells like, just to give it, to sum it up, it smells like cherries and oud. You know, and I know we've seen a lot of the rose ouds and the raspberry oud combinations, but this smells like cherries and oud. Gorgeous fragrance. Again, not as popular as some of the other ones I'm going to talk about, but this is really, really good. For true Middle Eastern fragrance lovers, I think this is one you would really enjoy, and that's why I wanted to include it on the list. It's from the House of Nusuk, and this is called Oud Khas. All right, guys, these are not really in any particular order, but the first fragrance that I want to talk about that I would keep for the rest of my life as I could is from a brand, Middle Eastern brand, Paris Corner. Now, they have a lot of different lines throughout the house or the brand of Paris Corner, and this one comes from one of the Amir collections, and this one is called Frenetic Delicios. Frenetic Delicios. Now, Paris Corner, this whole brand has made its name off of doing clones, basically, just like a lot of the other Middle Eastern based fragrance brands have done, like primarily, of course, or most notably, I would say the brand of Armaf. Paris Corner, man, they have so many fragrances and so many different, I guess, lines within the brand that is just crazy. But this one, again, Frenetic Delicios, is a clone of course, you got it, Feb Delicios from the Christian Dior La Collection Privé collection. And man, they knocked it out of the park. If you never smelled Fève Délicieuse, it is just I always say, a gourmand lover's dream. You have almond in there, you have cherry, vanilla, tonka. I mean, again, just an elixir of creamy, sensual gourmand notes. And this is exactly what this fragrance smells like. Again, I think this brand, Paris Corner, is really starting to, well, build a really big name for themselves in the fragrance world. Again, like the Armafs of the world, the Latafas, the Versaces. This is probably the next best thing as far as brands. But check this one out, man. If you don't want to spend that money for Fève Délicieuse, so you can't get your hands on it, this is a 96, 97% similarity as far as scent DNA. Again, this one is called Frenetic Délicieuse. All right, now the next fragrance on the list, this one comes from the house of Al Haramain, and this fragrance is called Detour Noir. Detour Noir. You have to say that slow or you will mess it up. Now this fragrance is a clone, well, I guess we can call it a clone, or very reminiscent of Layton from Parfums de Marly. It smells very similar to Layton from Parfums de Marly. And I think they did a good job of kind of capturing the essence of Parfums de Marly's Layton, which is a very, very popular niche fragrance, without this being 100% a clone. All right, there's no question about the fact that this fragrance was inspired by Layton, but it's missing a very important element that I think if it was going to be a full-on clone, it would have needed, which is that apple. That apple in the opening of Layton is one of the primary notes that makes that DNA, or that is known for. They don't have the apple here, but pretty much every other element of Layton they were able to capture with this fragrance. It smells phenomenal, by the way. I'm just gonna tell you, it smells great, obviously. But you have some almond in here, heliotrope, so gives that very powdery nuance. So you have that almond heliotrope combination, some vanilla, musk, and sandalwood. Again, very, very close to Layton, but it's just different enough where if you don't have Layton, it wouldn't make it almost redundant to have both. But if I could only keep 10 Middle Eastern fragrances, this one has come into the collection and it has moved up the scale pretty quickly. It's from the house of Al Haramain. This is called Detour Noir. All right, guys. Now the next fragrance up on the list comes from the house of Versace, and this fragrance is called daddyish. Daddyish from the house of Versace. If you were to look up compliment getting mass appealer in the dictionary, you might find a picture of this fragrance. Again, not a whole lot to say about it, guys. This is such a versatile fragrance. It's so easy to wear and it smells phenomenal. Honestly, at the end of the day, and that's what this whole hobby ultimately is about, is smelling good. And if you want to smell good, this is one of the best to do it. And again, the price point does not hurt as well, because you can find this one in most places for under the $30 price point. By the way, I'm going to try to link all these fragrances down below, where if you want to pick one or some of these up for yourself, you can do so. But this one, man, primarily just some notes that jumps out to me: cardamom, tonka bean, and vanilla. And I always say, well, you can kind of pair that freshness in the opening with that sweetness on the dry down. That's the typical kind of mass appealing DNA recipe. This one does it better than most. From the house of Versace, this is called daddyish. All right, guys, now this next fragrance up on the list, honestly, if I were putting it in order, this probably would be number one. This is why I love this hobby so much. When you can run across a gem like this, it just, just increases your love for the whole hobby. Smelling fragrances, finding and discovering. This fragrance comes from the house of Versace, and this is called Satora. Wow. Satora. Wow. I love cinnamon. I've talked about this before. I have 6 notes that are in my top favorite 6 notes. Cinnamon is one of them. This fragrance to me, guys, is this cinnamon walnut combination in the opening. And I think the walnut is a little bit drier, not quite as sweet, if you will, as you would find an almond note. Just a little bit drier. Goes perfect with more dry woods. And that's what you get here. You get cinnamon, walnut, in this fragrance. When it dries down, you're also going to get this smokiness, kind of smokiness that comes from guaiac wood with this cedar wood. Very prominent note of cedar wood in this as well, and there's some sandalwood to really just give a creaminess, of course, that soft, woody creaminess that you normally get from sandalwood. Perfect way to kind of tie everything together. Again, this is an absolute masterpiece of a fragrance. If you don't have it, guys, get your nose on this. Get your nose on this, man. Again, you gotta like that kind of almond, because again, that walnut, that almond kind of feel in a fragrance, cinnamon. You know where I'm going with this. If you like those kind of fragrances, you're gonna love this. It's from the house of Versace. This is called Satora. Wow. All right, guys, now this next fragrance, again, we're going back to the brand of Paris's Corner. This is the real Angel Share clone. This one is called Fire Your Desire. Fire Your Desire, home run. Home run. Again, there's really not much to say about this one other than the fact that it smells almost exactly like Kilian's Angel Share. Now, again, I've talked about this before, and I said it in the video where I talked about this fragrance, as well as another video that I did where I talked about fragrances that don't smell anything like what other people say. I talked about Lattafa's Cambra, which a lot of people tried to say that does smell like Angel Share. It doesn't smell much like Angel Share at all to me, but this one does. Seriously. And that's really all I really have to say about it. That sweetness, that kind of praline type sweetness with tonka bean, vanilla, all that good stuff, the cinnamon, it's all in here. And not to mention the fact that I love this presentation. It's just gorgeous. Check that out. So if I could only keep 10 Middle Eastern fragrances for the rest of my life, this would be one of them. Again, from the brand Paris Corner. This one is called Fire Your Desire. All right, now this next fragrance, another one from the Paris Corner brand, from their Ministry of Oud collection. This one is called Oud Satin. Yep, you guessed it. I did a video, I talked about this. It smells exactly like Oud Satin Mood from Mason Francis Kirkjohn. Nothing else really needs to be said. It smells like Oud Satin Mood. I wish I could give a better description, but if you smell Oud Satin Mood, then you smell this. And that's really a Oud Rose fragrance. That's what it is at the end of the day. So check it out. It's from the brand Paris Corner. Again, the Ministry of Oud collection. This is called Oud Satin. All right, guys, and the next fragrance on the list, this is one of the most fresh, clean fragrances that you're gonna find with the Middle Eastern branded label. And this one comes from the house of Versace as well, the very popular Hawass. Hawass. This is a spring, summer banger. Another one that I could say will fall under that mass appealing, versatile scent category. This stuff is amazing, guys. You have this some apple in here, you have cinnamon, you have plum in here as well, and ambergris and musk. Typical mass appealing scent DNA composition breakdown as well when you look at this fragrance. And again, some fragrances that I would say that this definitely reminds me of quite a bit is the Invictus Aqua, as well as Mont Blanc Legend Spirit. That's one that probably a lot of you have actually had a chance to smell. If you smell Mont Blanc Legend Spirit, if you smell Invictus Aqua, then that'll give you an idea of what this thing smells like. And of course, the difference is you can find this one for under about that $30 price point. It's from the house of Versace, again, the very popular Versace Hawass. All right, now the next fragrance on the list, this one actually does come from the house of Lattafa, which is a very popular brand as well, and this one is called Cambra. Now, just because I said it does not smell like Angel Share does not mean that I did not think it was a good fragrance. Again, to me, it just doesn't smell like Angel Share. That's just all to it. I mean, maybe 5%. Now, if you look at the notes that's in the fragrance, you would think that it would, but it doesn't have that boozy kind of cognac in it. This smells more like gin or juniper berries to me, and that's the thing that makes it so different. The booziness that you get from it smells very gin or juniper berry like. But other than that, man, you know, you do get some of that, the other elements. You get some sweetness in here. They do list praline as a note. They do list cinnamon, tonka bean, vanilla. Again, a lot of the notes that you do find in Angel Share, but somehow to me it just doesn't come out smelling that way. But it does smell good. You know, I personally said that this reminds me more of a fragrance like from Mancera, what was it called? Mancera's Instant Crush. It reminds me a little bit more of an Instant Crush kind of fragrance, that really heavy vanillic undertone. But at the end of the day, it does smell good. So if I can only keep 10 Middle Eastern fragrances, this is very well done. It smells great. It just doesn't smell like angel share. But I would keep it for the rest of my life because it is well done from the house of Lattafa. Again, this one is called Camera. All right, guys, now we're down to the last two fragrances, and I'm not going to talk as much about these two because they're the most popular. But I would be being disingenuous if I did leave these off of the list. I couldn't leave them off just because they're so popular. But this one right here, man, comes from the house of Lattafa as well, and this one is called Oud for Glory. Oud for Glory. And of course, if you know anything about this fragrance, guys, this smells exactly like Oud for Greatness from the house of Initio Parfums. That's really all that needs to be said about it. They did a really good job of capturing that DNA. And like I said, it's very popular. I think it really brought some popularity to this brand overall, the Lattafa brand. It's very well done, man. Again, they really were able to capture the essence of Oud for Greatness. And they made no secret about what they were doing, because the bottle looks just like Oud for Greatness and the fragrance smells just like Oud for Greatness. So this is one I would keep because, again, it's well done and they did a great job of capturing that DNA. It's from the house of Lattafa. This is called Oud for Glory. And last but not least, of course, I'm keeping this, man. It put the house of armaf on the map. This is called Club de Nuit Intense Man. And everybody knows by now that this smells almost identical to one of the good batches of Creed Aventus. So I'm keeping it. I love this fragrance. Again, it's probably the most recognizable fragrance on the list, the most cloned. I like clone, I would say, fragrance of the very popular Creed Aventus. It is just phenomenal, man. I get so many compliments with this thing. I love it. I love it. This is one of the older batches, but it's so good. From the house of Armaf, this is Club de Nuit Intense Man. But that's it, guys. That is my time. I hope you enjoyed the list today. I would love to hear down in the comment section, what are some other Middle Eastern fragrances that are great that I did not include on the list? I would love to hear from you guys down in the comment section. And as always, I sincerely appreciate you guys' time and attention to these videos. I know, of course, you don't have to watch, you don't have to support, but you do. And I sincerely appreciate that. Now, don't forget to make sure you take a few moments to go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you're sharing these videos out to some other folks out there that you think could use this information or find it entertaining. Because I'm your main man. I'm the bow tie fragrance guy. Love to look good, of course. Love to smell amazing. So until next time, guys, keep looking good. Keep smelling even better. I'll catch you flip side. Peace.